Okay, this breaking news just moments ago. The Democratic candidate for Attorney General in Virginia, Jay Jones, he's canceled a fundraiser this week. This is according to Axios, and it comes as he faces calls to drop out after leaked text messages showed him fantasizing about shooting the state's former House Speaker and wishing harm on his rival's children. Jones's violent fantasies don't seem to bother his political allies. Watch.
Jay has apologized. The statements that he made were indefensible, but I've known Jay Jones for 25 years. I think those statements were not in character, and he has apologized. I wish other people in public life would sincerely apologize for stuff. So no, I still am a supporter.
Senator Warner, do you want Jay Jones to drop out of the race in Virginia?
You haven't actually explained to people what
Are you going to return the donation that you gave to him, Senator Warner? Do you want the donation returned?
Are those comments acceptable?
Senator Warner, do you want Jay Jones to drop out?
So far, not a single, not one, not none, if I made myself clear, has called for Jones to exit the race. Not one Democrat.
Joining us now on set, Fox News contributors Liz Peek and Deroy Murdock. Thank you to you both for being with us this evening. So you heard that breaking news that we just shared moments ago. That seems pretty big that he would be canceling a fundraiser this week, even though there are no calls for him to drop out. So we don't really know what this means at this moment, but where do you see this going from here? Do you think that this means maybe he's reading the tea leaves? Maybe he needs to call it quits, Deroy?
Well, without any Democrats opposing him, my guess is he just wants to lie low and not have to show up somewhere and have his microphone stuck in his face. And when you're facing this kind of a controversy, very often the smart thing to do is just disappear for a little while, maybe pop up next week. But, we've heard from the Democrats, certainly since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we need to tone down the rhetoric and cool things down. And then you get this sort of thing. It's not Trump saying fight, 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 or doing the sombrero memes. It's this guy specifically saying, comparing his political rival, to Hitler and Pol Pot, and saying if you've got two bullets, put them both into this man Gilbert's head. And then fantasizing about his wife watching her children die so the husband could maybe reconsider his viewpoints. This is really sick, twisted, nasty stuff.
Really disturbing, Liz, when you consider that Jay Jones is running to be the top
Attorney General
law enforcement officer in the state of New Jersey, Virginia. How can anybody, be asked to cast a vote for someone like that, when they're texting in private? You could say that, like Tim Kaine says, oh, that doesn't really show his character. I've known him for years. It's not the person that I know. But he said that in a private text message.
What kind of person sends a text like that? It was absolutely vile. And
kind of person that thinks that way.
Yeah. Exactly. You can't walk that back. I'm sorry. Tim Kaine, all these people, Mark Warner stuff. Do you know, just recently, all the Virginia delegation after the murder of Charlie Kirk put out a statement or, resolution or something in Congress saying, we deplore political violence, blah, blah, blah. How many of them? Every single one of them has also basically lambasted President Trump for the heated rhetoric and the calls for violence. This is unacceptable. The hypocrisy is so thick you can cut it with a knife. I really think this is pretty shocking. Sadly, he's about 10 points ahead in this race. The Virginia governor's race is equally favoring the Democrat by about 10 points right now. I just think they are thinking they can get through it and that voters aren't really going to pay that much attention. But boy, I think this is pretty appalling.
Well, I think this speaks to the leadership or lack of leadership in the Democratic Party.
I agree.
If this was a workplace, anybody, any place of any kind, person would be terminated immediately. The Democrats continue to cannibalize their own existence through this process. Where is the leader, and who should be the one to say he needs to go? Who should that person be?
They don't have a leader. That's the problem.
Who should do it?
Remember the whole they go low, we go high?
Right.
Forget that.
Yeah, I've seen that around. Yeah, I imagine Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries would be the top Democrats. Kamala Harris as the last presidential nominee. I'm not hearing any of them saying that he ought to drop out of the race.
Yeah.
So I do want to switch gears on you in our final moments here and talk about this new song that's coming out from wildly popular Zach Bryan. He just posted this song, or at least a teaser of it, on Instagram. It's called Bad News, and the lyrics are essentially condemning ICE, meaning it's bad news when ICE comes to town. I did notice when he posted this clip, he turned the comments off so no one can say anything about it. But, what is your take? A famous country music star posting about this on Instagram, condemning ICE.
Yeah, well, I guess this will not be the theme song for the golden age. I don't know that much about country music. I like Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, that generation of country musicians, not these quite so much. But, I just wonder if this is going to be another one of those moments where somebody on the left comes out out and just gets attacked by folks who are more centrist or more on the right. And this might be something that really puts a dent in his career.
I think he lit himself on fire in this moment. I really do.
I wonder, Liz, if he's not reading the room and wonders, maybe is he disconnected from his listening audience? Does this show he doesn't really know what people are listening and thinking?
Look, I just think there are a lot of people like this wandering out and entertaining, and I think they're still living in a time when everyone was on their side. And they haven't quite woken up to the fact that, no, a majority of the country, let's remember, voted for Donald Trump. A majority of the country is in favor of almost everything he's doing. And I say almost because probably the shutdown maybe isn't polling very well or something. But the reality is most of the Americans are kind of optimistic about our country. This guy is not. And I think that sets him aside in a very sad way.
I don't know. When I listen to country music, I want to hear about a cold beer and a pickup truck and a long winding road. I don't know that I necessarily want to hear about policy. Yes.
And a beautiful dog, remember that.
And a beautiful dog. Yeah, that's my kind of song. All right, Deroy, Murdock, Liz Peek, thank you so much for joining us.